Moving to Australia can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. The Move to Australia directory from Smart Steps to Australia brings together all the essential services you need into one convenient place, making it easier to find the right professionals to turn your dream into reality. Whether you're looking for a trusted migration agent, competitive shipping quotes, guidance on buying your first home, or help relocating your beloved pet, our directory has it all. We've curated the best services to support your new life in Australia. Find everything you need to make your move stress-free, with experts just a click away. Visit directory.smartstepstoaustralia.com and simplify your relocation journey today.
Welcome to the New Life in Australia podcast, hosted by me, Karen Bleakley, founder of smartstepstoaustralia.com. Moving to Australia with my family was a life-changing experience, but it wasn't without its challenges. That's why I'm passionate about making the relocation and resettlement process easier for you, so you can enjoy this exciting adventure. Join me and my special guests as we share professional secrets and tips, learn from people who've made the move, and discover businesses that can help you realise your dreams. Now is the best time to create the life you've always wanted. This podcast is here to show you what's possible and to inspire you every step of the way. Let's go.
Let's take a moment to acknowledge the Gubbi Gubbi people, the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which I live, work and play. I thank them for the privilege of being able to live in such an incredible part of the world, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Hey there, welcome to this week's episode of the New Life in Australia podcast. I'm your podcast host, Karen Bleakley, and in this week's episode, I am talking about 10 mistakes to avoid when making the move to Australia. I know that moving to Australia can feel really overwhelming. It's a big emotional upheaval. It's exciting, it's stressful, there's so much to do. And I know that I personally felt a lot of stress around the idea of making mistakes. Moving to Australia was obviously something we'd never done before. We didn't know other people who'd done that, and we didn't really know what pitfalls to look out for or what things to avoid or what we should be doing. And there was so much to learn about the process. So hopefully you enjoy this episode and get a lot out of it, and you learn some of the mistakes that you can avoid yourself when you're making the move. Okay, mistake number 1, listening to the wrong advice. Now, there's advice everywhere. Everywhere that you look, there's advice on the internet, there's advice in Facebook groups, there's advice from people that you know, and all of that is useful, it's valuable, it's great to give you ideas and starting points. But my personal opinion is when it comes to visa advice, you need to be speaking to a migration agent. You need to be looking for a reliable, trustworthy migration agent to get this information. And you should actually be speaking to them, because lots of migration agents have information on their websites that's out of date, that's related to content from years ago, and rules change all of the time, situations change all of the time. And the best thing to do is actually to speak to a migration agent for the most up-to-date advice that you can get. Now, I know I often see in Facebook groups people asking questions about making the move and about visas. Facebook groups are amazing. I love my Facebook group, my Move to Australia Facebook community. If you aren't in there, I'll pop a link in the show notes. Facebook groups are amazing, but the advice people are giving in there doesn't necessarily apply to you. So somebody may have made the move, they may have got a certain visa, and they may be giving you advice based on that, but there's no telling that that advice can apply to you, or that that advice is current and actually still stands, because rules do change all the time. So an agent will have the most up-to-date advice, they'll have the most up-to-date information, and they'll be able to give you factual information based on your circumstances. So that's definitely a mistake that I see, is people listening to unqualified advice or out-of-date advice. And it's definitely easily solved by just speaking to a couple of different migration agents, just get some different opinions on things and just make sure that you are getting the most up-to-date information that you can. Mistake number 2, this was almost us. It's putting off your move. Now, we went around the world on a backpacking trip, my husband and I, fell in love with Australia, decided we were going to move to Australia, and then went back to the UK expecting twins, and kind of put it off, thinking we'd move later. Then we decided maybe we won't move. Then we had another baby. Then we decided we would move. And it just took us 5 years of umming and ahhing about whether to make the move. We put it off. We weren't sure. We kind of just assumed that because we were eligible, we'd always be eligible. And by putting it off, we really nearly missed our opportunity. We got older, we passed different age thresholds. Our health could have gone downhill and made it more difficult for us to get in. But actually what ended up happening was the week that we decided to make the move to Australia, that we decided we wanted to go for it, we looked into it and my husband's occupation was being removed off the skills list. And that was a huge blow. We'd just always assumed that because he had a good skill, that it would always be needed. But when we made that decision to go forward, his skill was being removed. And it really did worry us and scare us that we weren't going to be able to follow our dream. And it's easy to be kind of putting it off when you think that opportunity is there in the background. But when you realise that actually by waiting so long, we almost lost the opportunity, it was quite scary. And we were really, really lucky to be able to find that his skills and occupation did cross over another occupation. So we were okay in the end. It did all work out, but it really could have easily not have worked out. So my encouragement for this, to avoid it, don't put off your move. If you're eligible, apply, do it, because you just don't want to risk losing that opportunity, because you just never know what's around the corner. Mistake number 3 is letting other people's opinions sway you. This is really difficult because you've got family and friends and they have an emotional pull to you. They don't want you to go. And it can be so easy listening to other people. People tell you things like, living in Australia is so expensive, you'll never be able to afford it. It's not a nice country to live in. There's so much dangerous wildlife here. Like, there's so many different stories that we heard when we were planning our move. And people really were just telling us these things because they loved us and they didn't want us to leave. So it's just really important that you are making your own opinion. This is your life. You get one shot at it. And it's important that you actually follow your own dreams. If this is something that is your dream, don't let other people's opinions about what you should do sway your decision. So mistake number 4, which kind of leads in from what I was just saying about some of the opinions people try to sway you with, is fearing the wildlife. I know so many people said to us, I could never live in Australia. There's too many sharks and snakes and spiders. It's so dangerous. Everything there's trying to kill you. It's just a horrible place to live. And it really is not like that at all. Honestly, I've seen a handful of snakes before over the 11 years I've been here, and all of them have been when I've been somewhere kind of off the beaten track in the bush or on like a forest track or somewhere kind of out of the way. Spiders, I used to see a lot more spiders in the UK in our house. Those sort of big black winter spiders that used to come into the house and just climb up the floorboards and used to freak me out and horrible. I don't like spiders. Here, you hardly ever see spiders. And if you're really that worried about spiders, you can have your house sprayed as well from any pests. We do get cockroaches. Again, it depends on where you live and what kind of house you live in. The first rental we lived in had quite a lot of cockroaches in it. This house that we live in now it's not something that we see very often, just occasionally. So again, you can have your house sprayed for pests if they really do bother you. But snakes, spiders, cockroaches, all of those things, not really a major issue. And I've told this story before lots of times in different places, but actually my husband is the only person that I know who has ever been bitten by a poisonous snake, and that happened in the UK when he was a kid. He got bitten by an adder because he picked it up thinking it was a slow worm, and it bit him, and he nearly died from that when he was a child. I don't know anyone in Australia who's ever been bitten by a snake. So it really isn't the problem that people make it out to be. It's just something that you are very aware of when you live in Australia. You don't go walking through long grass, you don't go too off the beaten track, you just stay to pathways, and you're just aware that there can be wildlife that could be dangerous out there and you avoid it. Like I say, it's not something that's ever caused any issues to myself or my family in the 11 years that we've lived here. Mistake number 5 kind of ties back in to mistake number 2, which is the mistake of not making a decision. That was kind of where we were sat for the 5 years. We were knowing that it was an opportunity for us, that we could do it. And we kept telling people, we might do this. But actually not making a decision is making a decision not to do it. It's so easy to kind of tell yourself that by spending time deciding whether to make the move, you're still in a positive situation. But the fact is that by spending all this time deciding whether to move, you're actually actively making the move not to move. So you're actually choosing no, even though you're trying to frame it that there is still a possibility that it might happen. So I just think it's really important to make a decision one way or the other. There's no point kind of sitting on the fence saying that it's something that you might do. You either know, are you going to do it? Or if not, are you not going to do it? And if you're not going to do it, is there something else you want to do instead, or another goal you want to chase, or whatever? But by sitting on this fence and thinking about it and saying it's a possibility, you're kind of not making any positive move forward. So I think it puts you in a real state of limbo. So yeah, not making a decision is definitely a mistake that you should avoid. Mistake number 6 is getting rid of everything when you make the move. I know quite a few people who literally just got rid of their entire life. They did tip runs, they went to charity shops, they sold everything, and they moved just with like a suitcase. And then they got to Australia and then realised that they were actually missing some of their sentimental things that they hadn't brought with them. So I think there's a balance. You don't necessarily need to bring everything with you, but be careful about what you do get rid of, because you can't replace sentimental things that you chuck away. You can't go back in time. So in my opinion, I think it's better to bring stuff and then decide when you get over here if you still really want it or not, and then let go of it, rather than rushing in and just clearing out all of your stuff and getting rid of everything and then regretting it later. Mistake number 7 is skipping a leaving party. Now, I hate being the centre of attention. I was dreading my wedding, things like that. I just don't like being the centre of attention at a party. It's not something that I've really done as an adult either. I've not really had sort of 40th birthday parties or anything like that. I might go out for a quiet meal with friends, but I'm not one for being the life and soul of a big party. So the idea of having leaving parties wasn't something my husband or I wanted to do. And also I knew just how emotional I was going to be, and it terrified me that I'd just spend the entire party crying my eyes out, which I kind of did at times. There were tears for sure. And we ended up having to do a few different leaving parties because my family live sort of 5 hours away from Matt's family, and we also had different groups of people we wanted to kind of say goodbye to. So we ended up doing multiple different leaving parties, different family leaving parties, different ones with friends and groups and things. But I would say it was really important for all of us to do it because it gave people a chance to all come to us to say goodbye. It really took the pressure off of us needing to go round everybody to say goodbye. It meant we were in one set place, people came to us, said goodbye, and that was it. And it made that last couple of weeks in the UK so much easier, where it would have been really busy if we'd been having to try to get around everybody individually. It also gave us some closure. It was kind of an end point to our lives there, and I think that was really valuable. And it gave people the opportunity to kind of wish us well, and it just felt really important to have a leaving party. So I really do encourage you to do it. It's a way of saying goodbye to people. So it kind of marks a transition, saying goodbye to your old life and moving into your new life. And I think it's really valuable and really important to do. Mistake number 8 is assuming that Australia is just like the UK. Now, there are loads of similarities between the two, but there are differences for sure. There's differences in the culture, in the language, in the climate, in the TV, in so many different things. And it's really important to come in and embrace those differences and not try to compare everything to what it's like in the UK. You're here to enjoy your new life and embrace that. Mistake number 9, I think is quite an important one. It's expecting the move to bring you closer right away. So if you're moving in a couple or as part of a family, it can be challenging. You can be short-tempered, you'll be jet-lagged, you'll be tired, you'll be emotional. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. You're trying to do a lot of things. And I know that as a family, we had a lot of fights when we first arrived in Australia, and it was really hard because you just wanted to kind of get here and wave a magic wand and for everything to feel perfect. And it just doesn't look that way. You move and you're tired, you're irritable, you're exhausted, and you can be short-tempered with each other and it can be really challenging. So don't expect the move to bring you closer right away. Don't expect your kids to be really well behaved the minute you land, because they'll potentially start acting up because this is all different and they're jet lagged and they're tired and they're not sure. They're not with their friends, they're not with their family, and everything can just feel a lot when you first arrive here. So yes, in the long term, it definitely brought us closer together as a family because we went through this adventure together. But initially, it was challenging. And in a relationship, we found it really helped where if one of us was struggling, the other one would try to lift that person up and try to help encourage them and be positive, because it's really difficult when you're both struggling. If hopefully, which is what happened with us, one of us would be down when one of us would be up, and we'd kind of balance that out. It really helped us carry on, and it helped us both keep going and encouraged us both to be sort of working together as a team. So yes, in the short term, expect some short tempers and some exhaustion and some jet lag and some grumpiness from all of the people in the family. It will pass, it will get easier. And the final point here, biggest mistake that I tend to see people make and that I really would love for you to avoid, is not giving it your all. I see so many times in Facebook groups, in my Facebook group, in other Facebook groups, and after speaking with friends, people who make the move to Australia to give it a go. They come out here to just try it. It's not perfect straight away, and they go back to their old life feeling like they've failed. It breaks my heart every time I see it, because this isn't about a trial run. It's not about having this opportunity but keeping a plan B in the background for you to do something else. It's about coming in, it's about giving it your all, it's about trying your best, it's about overcoming challenges, it's about carrying on and taking a step at a time and building on the experiences, because it will not be perfect straight away. Nothing ever is. It takes time, it takes commitment, it takes effort from all of you, and that is something that not everyone is committed to doing when they first move to Australia, but it does take time, it does take effort. And the important thing I think to remember with this is there isn't an opportunity for failure, because some people come for a few weeks and then say, oh, it didn't work, we failed, it didn't work, it wasn't the right life for us, and then they move back to their home country. And that does feel a bit like a failure. But if you come here and you give it your all and you spend 2 or 3 years really trying your best to make it work, and then it's not working for you or you're not completely happy, you decide then what you want to do next, whether that's moving to a different suburb or to a different city or to a different country, or what you're going to do next. It's not just about jumping in, trying it for 4 weeks and then jumping back and instantly saying it didn't work. It's about moving forward, and however that looks, there's no failure with that, because you move forward, you give it a try, you overcome challenges. And if things aren't still working in the future, you then choose again. You make a different choice. You go somewhere different, or you do something different. But it's not just like giving it a go for a couple of weeks and then throwing in the towel and going back to what you had before, because that does feel like a failure. You need to be moving forward and looking at it as a learning experience, because that's what it is. So there are no failures with this. You give it a go, you try, you adjust, you keep trying, you keep building on things. And if things aren't working the way you want to, as I say, you get to choose again. You get to do whatever you want to do in life. And in that, when you approach it from that perspective, there are no failures. So while I'm sort of saying move with full commitment, that commitment doesn't need to be that you're moving to Australia for the rest of your life. It doesn't need to be that you're going to make it work perfectly in the city that you've chosen to move to. It just means that in the time that you're focused right now, that you are going to give it your all and do your best to make things work, and keep making new decisions and adjusting as you go so that you're moving forward. And that's how you build your new life. It is built a step at a time. It's not just a click of the fingers and it works out in an instant. It's definitely something that requires your commitment. So I hope you enjoyed that list of 10 mistakes to avoid when moving to Australia. Mistake number 1, listening to the wrong visa advice. Mistake number 2, putting off your move. Mistake 3, letting other people's opinions sway you. Mistake 4, being fearful of the wildlife in Australia. Mistake 5, not making a decision. Mistake 6, getting rid of everything. Mistake 7, skipping the leaving party. Mistake 8, assuming Australia is just like the UK. And mistake 9, expecting the move to bring you closer right away. And finally, mistake 10, not giving it your all. So I hope you enjoyed this episode about 10 mistakes to avoid when moving to Australia. I really hope sharing these common mistakes can help you avoid problems in the future and help you focus on making the move with a positive mindset and moving forward. That's it from me this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And in the meantime, let's get building your new life in Australia, one episode at a time.